What's up, everybody? This is the VSM Real Estate Podcast, getting you closer to massively successful players in the Twin Cities real estate market. This is your host, André Anderson, today joined by Jake Johnson. Welcome, Jake.
Glad to be here.
Yes, this is actually our version 2.0 of the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, some guy who used to run the board might have forgot to save everything.
Who did we have running the board earlier?
I don't know, some joker. He should probably be fired.
Yeah, he should probably be fired, yeah, especially for drinking some grapefruit drink right now.
Yeah, it's all that was in the fridge.
Yeah.
So, and I don't like water. Ask my wife.
Oh, geez. Man, water's really good, though. You need it. It's vital to everyday life.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, well, anyways, so last time we talked a lot about, I think, personal development. I think we kind of introduced you to our audience and whatnot. I know you had a podcast segment earlier, or like a audio book or something that you guys did when.
Yeah, Goring commissioned me to do it.
Yeah. Oh no, wasn't it like behind the doors or behind
the
scenes or something?
Yeah. Me
you
and
had a podcast.
One of our old employees, Aaron Bodine. Yep, we had a podcast behind the doors. That was fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So welcome back to the podcast and whatnot. So
glad to be back. I think this is my second one being on officially, because there was you, me, and Joe a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So technically, chronologically,
that was
it's already
a good
happened.
time.
But yeah, it was a good time.
And Joe, when you listen to this, I'm still not going to do an accent.
But we might have, Jordan, we had some bloopers. We got the noises in it?
That wasn't an accent. That was a noise.
Oh, yeah, close enough maybe. I don't know. Maybe we can cut some stuff together. Yeah? Okay, good.
It's just Spaceballs quotes.
Spaceballs quotes, yeah.
Story of my life.
Right. So, I don't know because when we were with Joe and just kind of, shooting the breeze, talking about stuff, we didn't really have like a formal update or like, introduction of who you are. And people could go back and maybe listen to the
I'm okay with that, though.
You're okay with that?
I'll just be that guy.
You don't want to introduce yourself? Kind of tell everybody about what you do, VSM, everything like that?
Is no one okay answer? No, I'm the Vice President of Operations for the property management side, so kind of oversee and run and do a lot of the day-to-day work for property management, answer a lot of questions. I'm a support player to guys like you, the agents, whenever you got questions revolving a rental, or if Joe the broker or Ryan the principal are unavailable. So pretty much involved with a lot of the stuff we do here, and just an all-around resource is what I try to be. Yeah,
I've always found you as a really awesome resource to go to, especially when it came to when I had no idea what the heck background checks were supposed to be, and like delinquent credit lines, all this kind of stuff, credit reports. You helped me definitely understand what credit reports how to go through the credit reports and whatnot. So, and then just always a good logical soundboard, bounce ideas off of. I think a lot of other agents and other people have found that. And of course, you like to talk, and I like to talk, and we talk about philosophical stuff all the time. So that's always good. But
that's pretty deep. Gets pretty deep sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt. So, definitely a key player here at VSM Real Estate. How did you get into real estate?
Came from, I did what a lot of people do. I'm going to wait a year to go to college, and I started working blue collar, and then, just decided unless I knew what I wanted to do, I just wanted to, I didn't want to spend all the money on the education, and, because I didn't want to be one of those guys who got $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in debt, and then was like, you know what? This isn't what I want to do with the rest of my life. So I just started off working, and then this wonderful thing called the Great Recession hit.
Nice.
And, the industry I was in, which was directly tied to shipping and logistics, really got hit hard.
You're in logistics?
Yeah.
How come we never talked about that? I feel like.
I talked to a gal, I don't remember her name, but it was C.H. Robinson. It was just the Sioux Falls location.
Oh, okay.
Who coordinated my stuff.
Yeah.
So, so from there I had to be like, all right, well, I'm not getting another factory or warehouse job because
it's demanding.
They weren't there.
Oh, and they weren't there that time. Yeah, for sure.
Where I was, they were like, orders are down 60%. It's just a straight numbers game. We're laying off, 2 people on a 10-person staff. I was one of the 2 people. So I had to reevaluate what I was willing to do, and I got into debt collections. Not because I loved it, but I did that for 4.5 years and hated almost every minute of it, except for I learned a lot of good stuff. I learned how to negotiate and coordinate with people and de-escalate situations. Not that I'm good at doing it, but I understand the philosophies. And then after I got burnt out on that, because it is a really trying job, I decided to get into property management. And it was kind of just what was available, that worked with the skill set I had. I exclusively handled security deposits, which it's a little bit of debt collecting philosophy. It's a lot of bit of negotiation. It's some advising. And then through the process, they were like, you know what, you're actually giving real estate advice, so you should probably be licensed. So I got my license, and then from there it's like, well, now there's this whole new avenue of the industry that I'm already in that I can operate under, so I learned a lot about that. And that's really what brought us here. Went from one company to VSM for a better opportunity. I've been involved in a couple of real estate transactions, down the road maybe do more, because it is fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's interesting. A lot of moving parts. It's simpler than people probably think it is, but it's just hard enough that the people who really don't want to be making the money at it won't. We've probably seen that. Like, see people come in, they can't just sit on their laurels. They're actually going to have to work a little bit. But if you've got of average capabilities or better, and you've got a bit of work ethic, it's a great industry to be in. I do prefer the property management side a little bit more, just because it's
closer to home.
Closer to home, and it's more of a stable service. I service the same clients month over month. I'm not having to go out and get new clients every day or every couple of weeks. When this deal's done, well, we've got another placement. I'm going to manage the new tenants. So I do like that because you get to develop a relationship with the clients and learn their expectations. But just the whole industry is interesting, especially when you look at the cycles and.
True that.
I think we last time we talked, when we were talking with Joe, I used it as an opportunity to semi-vent some of my frustrations as being a buyer in this market.
Oh, yeah.
Not the market to be a buyer in. But, it's super interesting. It's probably one of the funnest industries that I've ever been in because there's so many different things you can do with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're looking at logistics and debt collection and then real estate, usually the natural progression and the natural, selection of that would be real estate being the most fun. But
when I first got into property management, the CEO of the company was at the first all-staff meeting where they introduced me, and I was introduced as the only guy who probably took a step back in career by coming here.
Oh,
and I was like, I don't think you understand what happens in debt collections.
Yeah. It's a jungle every day.
Yeah, the bar of prestige is relatively low.
Oh, unfortunate. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but should that bar be raised, I wonder? From like a company standpoint, I would probably imagine yes, but
Yeah, but from who are you going to get to do the work?
Right.
No,
it'll
be entry level forever.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think that makes sense, no doubt.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's really exciting. I know that right now, of course, you're looking for a home right now, and so you're a buyer actively in the market. And I remember the first transaction, at least when it was VSM, I definitely helped you with that transaction. That was a lot of fun.
A lot.
Yeah. It was really cool to, because like more or less I was learning from you when I was doing like the property management side, learning leasing and everything else, and I'm like, now I get to teach you.
Right.
Yeah. Which I did terribly, of course. But,
I don't know if you did terribly. It worked though. It worked. We got the deal done. There was virtually no issues. The buyer's biggest problem was that this will show you the difference between the market a year ago and the market today.
Yeah.
We had 2 Saturdays that we set up showings. We did about 9 showings each day. You lose about 2 of those to, hey, we accepted an offer or whatever, or, the keys weren't in the lockbox or whatever. But they submitted offers twice. Offer got beat out, then submitted the offer on the second one, which came out of the second weekend, and they got it. And they were super frustrated that it took
that long,
3 weeks to find a place that would accept their offer.
That's fast still.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I'm going on 3 months right now, and it's not that we haven't found places. It's been a lot of, hey, schedule my showing 2 hours later. Highest and best by 5.
Yep.
Well, my showing's at 6, so I'm not going to do that.
And even then, 3 months is probably like 2 to 3 month time frame. I think is about, especially like when it's like from starting to look to and like being actually ready to look.
Yep.
And actually getting a contract in place. It's about that long, and then another month usually, depending on the deal.
Yep.
For the contract to close, right? But no, I mean I've had buyers before where it was legitimately like 5 to 8 months, to find a home, just because you'd get into contract. Something happened during inspection, you fall out of contract, and then just things like you're still submitting offers, like once a week or something like that at least. And, it used to, like when I first started, Ryan was always saying, okay, you make 10 offers, one of them gets accepted. You know, so now it feels sometimes like, well, maybe you have to make 15 or almost 20 offers.
Well, that's the whole thing. Once you submit an offer, it's not done. The fat lady hasn't sung yet.
Exactly.
Like, there's a ton of stuff that can go wrong. It can pass inspection. It can fail at appraisal.
Yep.
This isn't going to be me, but I've heard stories of people who decided to use their credit card just a little bit too much between getting the pre-qual and
final approval.
Yep, final approval, and they're like, you don't qualify for this product anymore.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's a ton of things that can happen, and a lot of it seems like it could be pretty benign or not seem like a big deal, and then the deal just disappears.
Yeah, you want to go to Vegas in a couple months, right, when you get under contract?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, because I like being married.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah. Definitely.
So, yeah, no, that's Jake in a nutshell, I guess, or part of it, the corporate part.
Yeah. I know last time as well we kind of talked a little bit about personal development. I feel, you've been really ramping up, like even just like looking at your Facebook from a couple of years ago, constantly sending out like leadership quotes and, like having like just like improving your mentality, getting everything together, like really developing yourself and whatnot. Would you say that you've always done that kind of a thing, or have you been just kind of like recently turned onto that kind of concept?
Always is kind of so I mean for the good portion of a third of my adult life, yes. I'm 35 though. Am I now? Yeah, my birthday was last month. 35 now.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, you were a day early on my calendar.
Yeah. No, I was on time. It was,
Yeah,
from the future.
Asia.
Yeah.
From the future. But no, so once I got exposed to that kind of stuff, and I found out that, you aren't just this thing that exists and the world will take you in the direction that it wants to, and that you actually do have some control over, your actions and your attitude. And to a certain degree, you can reprogram how you think and how you conduct yourself. Once I learned that stuff, I've been super excited about it. Because, as I said, I didn't go the college route, and once you start working, you kind of get stuck in liking the trappings of life. It's really tough once you have your own place and you're paying, a cell phone bill and a cable bill and you have internet and all this stuff, to really say, let's get rid of all that and let's move back at home with mom and dad and go to school. But let's be honest, working in a shipping and logistics warehouse isn't the most prestige job, so it was really intriguing to me to see that there's actually stuff that people can do outside of the college route to make themselves more valuable in the corporate and business world. And I really like that, because who I was back then, probably wasn't the most trustworthy person, probably wasn't the most hardworking person, maybe not the most ethical person. And it wasn't because I liked being like that. I just didn't realize. Like, you don't know what you don't know. Most people don't look in the mirror and see themselves. So ever since I got introduced to the concept of self-evaluation and educating yourself through books and seminars and seeking out the knowledge, I loved it. That's been my college experience. Because if you have a library card, which costs about free $99, you can get access to some of the greatest success principles that have been applied since, the Andrew Carnegie days all the way up through today. And there's a bunch of different people who have carried the torches. I'm a huge fan of John Maxwell. I just love how he speaks and how he breaks stuff down.
Yeah, quotes all the time. Like probably 2 or 3 times a week, I feel like. Yeah,
and I don't want to be just that guy that quotes it, which I probably was for the first, 6 years that I did it. And then it's like, okay, instead of just, passively applying it most of the time, and sometimes actively applying it, probably, for the last 4 or 5 years, I really have been aggressive on the application. Let's not just learn this. Let's not be the encyclopedia, the bevy of knowledge, but let's use it. And that's a whole different world there. And then probably for the last, since July, 7 months, I've really been on a personal growth game plan to kind of take myself to the next level. Because you're, not to sound like Ricky Bobby, but you're either growing or you're dying. Nature doesn't stagnate. It's either on its way up or it's on its way down. And
I thought it was if you're not first, you're last.
Right, what's that even mean?
If you're not first, you lose.
But so I've always liked that stuff, because it really, for the average person or the educated person, it's that difference maker. John Maxwell quote. He says, "All things being equal, attitude is the difference maker. So if everybody, exact same skills, whatever, but one person's got a good attitude, one person's got a bad attitude, you're going to go towards the attitude. Most people don't try to control their attitude. Once you get used to it, it's not that hard to do. It's that first part is learning to control your emotional reactions, that kind of stuff. That's the tough part. But after you have that, it's just applying it, and then you can actually control your attitude. So you don't have to, boy, if I was just born with a good attitude, that's not how it works. You kind of have to cultivate this stuff, and it's made life totally different.
Yeah, no doubt. So it sounds like, you didn't really understand that from before, that like there was an alternative, kind of how you were speaking about before. And so when you found there's this whole new world of like self-development, that was like definitely the way you wanted to go. What was kind of like the impetus of like what kind of started like actually you realized that there was an alternative? Is there like a certain failure or something else that just kind of like set off a chain reaction, or is it just something like seeds were planted and just gradually?
Yeah, it was the people. It was the people I got around. I mean, obviously, there's things like when we do experience failure. Anytime your life takes a dip or bottoms out or whatever, it's real easy to be like, crap. Let's look around and see what's going on and see what we have to change. A lot of people do need to hit that rock bottom, but you don't need to wait till you hit rock bottom. I mean, you can do it at any point in time. But it was really some people that I started getting around who were telling me, hey, you know what, I read this book, you should check it out. I read that book, check it out. I saw this speaker on YouTube, I just watched 35 hours of his material, you should watch this one and that one. And then I started looking around at some of these people and looking at their pedigrees. And some of them had some pretty prestigious letters in front of their names, MD, PhD, whatever. But most of them didn't, and they would all tell the similar story. I started off working this dead-end job, or was unemployed, or my life was going nowhere, drinking 6 nights a week, whatever. And then I started doing some of these things, reading this book, reading that book, getting around this speaker, spending tens of thousands of dollars to go hear like a Tony Robbins or somebody like that. And then you could see the fruit on the tree of where they were now. It's like, there's got to be something to this. And just over time, I'd seen enough people who had listened and applied the principles that are taught through these personal development avenues, and that they were actually improving their life to an equal or greater degree of people who had done it through going from a bachelor's to a master's, or a master's to a doctorate or a terminal degree. And they did it for a lot less money. I mean, I'd never completed college, but some of these universities are $40,000 a year.
Yeah, so you're graduating with like $120,000 or $130,000, $140,000
for your bachelor's.
Just for a bachelor's, yeah.
Right.
The master's can be either an accelerated 1-year program or the normal in America 2 years.
Yep.
And then of course,
and then the doctor, you're going to have a residency or a work study program associated with it. And I mean, and so it's a lot of money and a lot of time. Which are the two main things that matter economically in this world. Is
time, especially when you're young. I mean, you have a lot of it, but
if I could go back and re-spend my time from 16 to 25, I would, absolutely. I did dumb stuff with my time.
What would you do?
I'd play less video games.
Okay.
I'd party less.
Okay.
And I'd probably take investing seriously.
Oh, okay. So for those viewers that are like kind of feeling maybe stuck and they don't really know exactly what they want to do, but they're listening to like this podcast, or maybe they're absorbing other content, and they're like, yeah, I think I understand a little bit about the self-development game, and maybe I need to improve myself, improve my mentality, improve my behavior, all that kind of stuff. So your advice to those, maybe even like a younger version of yourself, right, that is kind of looking out for information. It sounds like making sure that you're spending time with and interacting with individuals that will kind of improve your lot in life, or will make recommendations of books or anything like that, right?
Everyone should have a mentor. I know mentorship's a word that gets tossed around a lot, and people think they know what it is. And a lot of people who use the word mentor probably don't have a mentor. They actually have a coach. Like, there's a difference. Like, not to get too much into what seems like just nitpicking over details. But there is a difference. Like one is a person who's just academically telling you what you need to do better, and the other, a mentor, is somebody who you actually take seriously. And if they say, I'm telling you to do this, you don't bother them with a million questions of why. You're like, okay, let's do this. I trust you, and there's a reason I give you this voice into my life. But have a mentor. I heard a long time ago, right once I got around the people who were telling me to, read the books and go to the events and all that kind of stuff, is they said if you can show me the 5 people that you hang around with the most and show me the books that you're reading, I can tell you where you'll be economically in 5 years.
Wow.
And for the most part, they were actually pretty good at calling it, because it's really, your brain's a computer, garbage in, garbage out. If you're just putting junk in, which most people do, because not being proactive with it, I mean, we're surrounded by just crap all over the place. Advertisements, TV, radio. Well, nobody listens to the radio anymore.
I do sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah, mostly podcasts, but when I'm feeling good.
So podcasts is what replaced it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's entertaining, but it's junk. There's bad thought process in there. A lot of people...
There can be, yeah.
Yeah.
There can be.
Yeah, not all of it.
Not all of it, yeah.
And sometimes, you're not... Sometimes you do want to be entertained, but most people over-entertain.
Right.
And undereducate. So just control what you're putting in. Make sure that you find some books that are speaking to needs that you have in your life right now. There's nothing better than reading a book and seeing yourself, a negative aspect of yourself in that book, and being like, oh my God, that's me. I have to change that. And the good news is in the next 5 pages, they give you the outline on how to change it.
Right, yeah.
Versus, we've all seen the TV show Intervention. Like, which is going to be more comfortable and less embarrassing?
Yeah, no doubt.
Like, reading it in a book and fixing it yourself, or having to have everybody sit you down on the couch and say, you need to stop being such an a-hole, or nobody's going to ever talk to you again.
Right, for sure.
So.
But, I mean, they're also, both of those methods are tools, and sometimes you need a hammer when you're trying to apply, a screwdriver or something like that.
Right. Yeah. But my philosophy is, and I've had a couple of times where I've had to go to some of my mentors and some of the people that cared about me a lot in my life, and I've had to say, hey, I've identified this, I'm stuck, I don't know how to fix it, but I don't want to deal with any of the ancillary stuff that'll come if I don't fix it, so can you help me out? And a lot of it's just little stuff that you can correct if you're aware of it. So yeah, I'd say, start out by finding somebody you trust that you'll let them speak to you without ripping their head off, because they need the ability to be honest.
Yep.
Because it's all in your best interest. Excuse me. And then start with a couple of books. Maybe a couple of podcasts, or this stuff's carbonated and I should not be drinking it.
As long as it's not iced coffee with bubbles, the bubble tea.
Coffee.
What did I have? I think it was bubble tea with something, and then those
the
tapioca pearls or whatever, and then I coughed and choked on that. Yeah, Jordan remembers.
Oh yeah, I do. Was that the blue straw?
Yeah, it was the blue straw. Yeah, it was Jamie. Jamie. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Almost killed yourself.
I'm pretty sure I died actually at that moment, and now I'm just living my last moments in perpetual fast speed.
Well, it's some good last moments to live.
Yeah, doing a podcast, why not?
Right.
Yeah. So, you recommended books, obviously the mentor thing, but books as well, to people that are do want to kind of get started getting into more self-development, or maybe you could list a couple books that were just super pivotal to you.
Yeah.
That you're willing to share with others.
So,
I know you read a lot.
I do, and I break life down into a bunch of categories. I always try to be in hopefully 2 books at the same time. I've still got this super ambitious goal in my mind of a book a week, so 4 books a month. I have only ever been able to realize it for 2 months in a row. It's a lot of reading. I mean, and I now, with me and the insane commute that I have, if I wanted to read for 2.5 hours every day, that would be all of my
free time,
at home time. While the kids are up, and I can't sacrifice all that, and otherwise I'd have to stay up till 2, which leads you into the poor quality mornings.
Yep. The vicious cycle.
But yeah, so a couple of the main categories one is I don't know what category you'd call it in, just generic personal development, but also I focused on a lot of leadership type stuff, which is John Maxwell's main performance. So I would say from the leadership, if you want to advance yourself corporately, do better in the workplace, there's a couple of really good ones by John Maxwell. The first one is Developing the Leader in You, and he actually just released a 2.0.
Oh, nice.
Where when he went back to rewrite it, he ended up, they said for a second edition, you need to have 15% edited material.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up editing 80% of the book.
Oh,
Because
wow.
his philosophies on leadership have changed so much in the last 25. It was the 25th anniversary.
Well, yeah, two more decades.
So, I mean, he could have just done, here's a new
century.
intro and blah, blah, and sell the same
Right.
thing. But he's like, I can't in good conscience re-provide this information because I don't agree with all of it. So that's a really good one. Developing the Leader Within You, 2.0.
Okay.
Another one is the 360-degree leader.
Mm-hmm.
That's great for a lot of people who are either at entry level or low mid level, and they want to kind of climb the corporate ladder thing. He teaches you how leadership is just influence, and you have to lead people in all directions. There's the cliche out there: you have to learn how to manage your boss.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's not accurate. It's more so you have to learn how to lead your boss, and the leader isn't always the guy on the front who's got the biggest title and the biggest paycheck. Leadership is just influence, so you need to learn how to lead up, lead across, and lead down if you have people to lead down.
Thus the 360.
Yep, that's a phenomenal book. Another one that I really enjoyed a lot out of, there's a writer out there, his name's Andy Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 2 books. The first one of it is really good. It's called The Traveler's Gift. It was a Good Morning America special pick or whatever their thing was back at the time.
Regis and Kelly maybe as well.
I don't know. Maybe,
yeah.
Are you old enough for Regis and Kelly?
Yeah, I used to during this. I was like in middle school, I think, or elementary school. Used to go to the local gas station, buy a Cosmic Brownie, and make a Hot Pocket or something like that.
And watch Regis and
Pocket
Kelly?
And watch Regis. Yeah, that was my mornings.
Wow,
during
I
summer
watched
break.
Wishbone.
Wishbone, nice.
On PBS, the dog that read you the
book?
book?
Yeah. Wait, wasn't that Clifford?
No, that's
He's
the
a
big red
dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, but didn't he read books? Oh, well, whatever. Anyways.
But yeah, The Traveler's Gift. It's a great narrative. It basically gives 7 lifestyle success principles, and he teaches it to you through historical characters. It's a fictional story, but it's got historical characters. So, for instance, the guy learns a lesson from Christopher Columbus, a lesson from Anne Frank. They've got, I think, King Solomon's in there. Columbus, Anne Frank. There's 7 of them, and I think I just went through 3, so that means there's 4 that I'm forgetting. And then he had a follow-up book, which was pretty similar. Not as good as The Traveler's Gift, but if anybody ever likes it, Andy Andrews is the author. You can find it pretty quick. But if I were to just give 3, those are the ones, because the one's going to focus on just who you are as a person and how just general success works. And then the other ones are going to be a little bit more pointed. John Maxwell, his stuff is, it's all medium to high level, but it's all very relevant and very applicable. His big thing is he doesn't want to give you something that's not going to give you any value. So I'd start there. I'm biased. He's one of my favorite teachers.
For sure, yeah. I think you've said his name like 50 times during the podcast. So
it's only been like 4.
4, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I definitely have to pick up some of those books. I know being a real estate agent, I'm always in the car, much like you're doing a lot of times commuting.
Yep. Podcasts and audiobooks. I think I did download one by John Maxwell. I can't remember what it is because I haven't listened to it yet. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That's his
maybe.
crown
I don't
jewel.
know. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I know that just because that's your jam, like the John Maxwell, and then I remember. I can't think someone recommended that book, and I had like a free credit on Audible, so I'm like, yeah, let's pick it up. So I definitely have to give that a listen. Because,
thing, I prefer to read physical books because there's something you can do a lot more reflection when you're reading.
And you can note take too.
Yes.
So
do you highlight or do you pencil?
I do basically pencil, but I can highlight with my pencil sometimes.
Ooh.
But the notes are always you can't really write notes with
I'm
highlighter.
a highlighter.
Are you?
I'm transitioning to Kindle because it's convenient.
Yeah.
But it's just not the same as holding the book. But one thing I love about audiobooks is since Audible came around, the audiobook market has been expanding.
Yeah.
And a lot of authors will narrate their own stuff.
Which I love.
I do too, because I love Napoleon Hill's books. I mean, they're a little older. You kind of have to learn how to speak 1940s vernacular. Like the first
They got him on to do his own book.
No, they didn't, because he's dead.
Thought I could get you.
But the guy that they picked, and I hope they've redone it since then, but he is so dry and boring. It's like he didn't even pre-read it.
Yeah.
He just, okay, today at work I'm going to sit here and read a book, and it came out sounding like crap, and whatever, where's my paycheck?
Yeah. That's a lot of the old classic books, or old like meditations. A lot of meditation, like from Marcus Aurelius. A lot of the versions that I've listened to are just like really dry.
Right. It's like hearing the
monotone.
English teacher read Shakespeare versus seeing a Broadway or whatever the equivalent is in England caliber actor read Shakespeare. One of them's just reading, the other one's giving it life. So I do like that, and you alluded to it. You always want to make your car a rolling university. Like, yeah, pop music's okay, I guess, if you're one of those weirdos.
Or if you need to distress, everybody loves pop music,
but it's not moving you down the road. I mean, the car's moving you down the road.
It is, actually.
The pop music isn't.
Yeah.
So, take advantage of the time where you're a captive audience, and don't throw the radio in the trash can, but turn it off sometimes and put on something that's going to help you out.
No doubt. Yeah. I agree 100%. You'd also alluded to events. Have you ever gone to like an event, like a Tony Robbins event or anything like that?
No. I go through a private organization that I'm part of. They give the same caliber events, and I've actually through this organization, I've had the opportunity to hear a bunch of people speak. A few years ago, their keynote guest was Jocko Willink and Leif Bada.
Oh, yeah.
The Extreme Ownership guys.
Yep, love that book.
And I don't know why I
really
didn't buy the book at the event, because it was like right after it came out.
Yeah.
But 2 months ago, I used my monthly credit from Audible, and I picked it up.
Yeah.
And again, they narrated their own stuff.
And it's intense. They have like those gnarly voices too.
Right, and then they live their life at such a high level of excellence.
Yes.
But they also can communicate super effectively what they're doing and why.
And directly, yeah.
And that's also, I've had the opportunity to hear John Maxwell speak 3 different times through this organization.
Nice. So you're like a giddy little schoolgirl during those.
I was, I got to shake his hand, and he signed my book. I was one of 10,000 people. It must have been hell on earth for him, but I think he actually loves it.
I mean, if you're in the game for 25 years doing that, you have to love it a little bit.
Right. And, but can you imagine 10,000 books, just signing them, just one
after
the other?
More than closing on a home,
Right.
So.
Yeah. But so it. So I like it. Tony Robbins and some of those things, their price tags are higher, which is probably why I haven't entertained them, because I get such a great value with the organization I'm through. But that's not to say that people, if going to an independent Tony Robbins seminar, like what Goran did, if that's their only venue, it is worth the money that you're going to pay. The only reason I haven't done it is because I have a different alternative that's more economic. Not everyone's going to have access to the same opportunities, so whatever opportunity does come around, take advantage of it. It might look like a lot of money, but the knowledge that you get, if applied, can more than overcome that expense.
A lot of times it's double, triple.
I've heard of some real estate
10x,
seminars
100x
that are like a 4-day seminar, and they cost like $20,000.
Yeah.
That's $5,000 a day.
Yeah.
And they sell out event after event after event because there is value there. So, and as a professional, a real estate professional, you're basically a sole proprietor. Anything that you are spending for the growth of your company, which some of these offsite events could be argued to be a business expense, you'd have to talk with your tax professional, but you can maybe write that expense off.
For sure. So investing in the company.
Investing absolutely.
In that human capital.
Yep. So, and that's the best investment in the world, whether it's yourself or your people. Investing in people is the best investment because they will pay a return year after year in an up economy or a down economy.
Which page was that?
Which page?
Yeah, from the book.
Which book?
Yeah, exactly.
It's in there. That's
somewhere around there.
That's one of the John Maxwell ones, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it's true. The biggest mistake a lot of people make, though, is they only invest in one person.
True.
And it's usually not themselves. They'll be this is the guy that's going to make my company skyrocket, and then he flakes out, or he realizes that he's the guy that's going to make your company skyrocket, so he goes and starts his own company. Invest in a lot of people because, it's like planting seed. Not all of it's going to grow. Some of it's going to get eaten by the birds. Some of it's going to get killed by the sun. Some of it's not going to get enough water. But by planting enough will grow to pay you back for the planting and then your profit on top.
Those are some good words. Good words, sir.
Well, thank you. I didn't come up with them. I just read them.
You just read them and then regurgitated them.
And applied them.
That's
the biggest thing, application.
Yeah, otherwise you tend to forget them. You tend to forget if you, what's the quote? You read it, you remember 10% of it or something like that, and then someone teaches it to you, you remember maybe 30%, and then you do it and you remember like 90% or 80% or
it goes 70. It's
like a huge gap.
Right.
Yeah, it's a huge.
Well, and that's why everywhere I go, like I've got probably like 35 notebooks of notes I've taken.
Yeah.
I've never reread my notes once in my life, which I probably should. But just the act of writing down the notes, it is a mnemonic device. it helps your brain solidify, because now it's not just receiving, it's got to receive, process, and output, which helps it go into the short-term memory, which then eventually will help it transfer to the long-term memory.
True.
So don't just show up, be involved.
Exactly. Those are also good words, sir. So what does the future look like for you for doing real estate and whatnot? You're going to buy your home, and then are you going to get into more investing and whatnot too as well?
Yeah, I don't know. The first thing will be get the move done and let the kids stabilize and get the family done. Maybe 2019, really focusing on VSM and getting the company where we want it to be. It's doing great right now, but for anybody who's ambitious and excited, great is never good enough.
Excellent.
Amazing would be great, and great's okay.
Right.
So, and that's not, again, everything's like at an awesome spot, but awesomer is awesomer.
Right. Yeah.
So, going to focus on helping the company get to there. A couple of strategic things, hopefully, and then real estate transactions as far as from a agent or a brokering side, as they come up. I've never really wanted to have two full-time jobs, so I'm only going to focus on either the property management or brokering at one time. And right now it's property management, but that doesn't mean that I'm against. Like, somebody calls me up and is like, "Hey, you're my agent. I want to hire you. Help me buy a house." I'll do it. I'm not going to tell them to get lost.
I see. Yeah, you can't turn service. You can't turn your service away from people that are needing it. So
no,
sure.
No, or easy money.
Or easy money, yeah.
I mean,
of course,
it's all the same. You provide a service, you should be compensated for it.
Of course, yes, of course. So if if people were kind of listening, to the podcast and like we're really vibing with a lot of the self-development and maybe wanted to understand kind of what journey you've gone on and want to get in contact with you, how would they contact you?
Oh, easiest way would probably be Jake at VSMRealestate.com. With the time of the year, it gets pretty full, so give me some time to respond, but you'll get a response.
Yep.
If you were to look me up on Facebook, don't reach out to me there. I just use that as a meme generator.
Oh, geez.
Like, literally, I share a couple of John Maxwell quotes here and there, but mostly I am just looking up memes, laughing at them, and saving them to my photo roll. But yeah, Jake at VSMRealestate.com.
Sounds great. Well, I think that's all I have for you. Did you have anything else?
No, I hope we didn't. I hope this didn't suck.
No, I think it rocked, actually.
All
but
right.
Everybody else can be the judge. So,
right.
Thank you again for listening and tuning in. Tune in next time.